It's a beautiful day here at Scalp Logic, and we have such an amazing topic today to touch on. What are the 3 standards of SMP?
Number 1 is the obvious fake inky head, Lego head. Take your pick on how you want to describe it. So number 2, we're just going to call it straight SMP, scalp micropigmentation, where there's so many different layers, so many different variations of standards, but we're just going to call those mediocre results.
Just not the best results. They could be better.
Better than the Lego head, but not as good as real. And that's what we're going to call subtlety, the 3rd one. Obvious one.
Lego head.
Lego head. The SMP, the just traditional, mediocre.
Traditional, I think that's a good word. Traditional.
Okay, traditional
cool.
scalp micropigmentation.
Right.
And then we have, we're going to call it subtlety, subtle
Dun, dun, dun.
pigmentation. This is the one where nobody will ever know you've got it done.
Yes.
I hear a lot of people say that.
Yes.
And, you know, we say it as well,
Yes.
but I think there's very few people who really, that's their ultimate aim.
And I would say long term. I would say that's another big focus is long term when it comes to it.
To be in the 3rd category, it has to be long term, it has to stand, all of it. It has to always look like a real shaved head, right? Or as close to it as possible. Exactly. We're gonna call it the highest standard, right? The one that actually looks like real hair. You know, there's some downsides to it.
There are some downsides, and the downsides are that it's going to take longer, right? It's going to take longer in the sense of more sessions. Number 1, it's going to take longer in even when you're here with us, it's going to be more time. Number 2, and number 3, I would say was, I want to get this done, but what if, I have to come in for another session? Most of all our clients, and I would say the really researched clients, they're okay with having to have another session. That's an okay thing is, hey, if I have to get another session a year down the road, 2 years down the road, that's perfectly fine. I would rather have that than having to get it removed. I would say that's a big one.
No, that's perfect. I'll add to that, we're in Texas, we still operate in California. We have a couple guys going from New Jersey, from New York, Illinois, Michigan. My point is all over the country. We get people coming all over the country, and that's who we like to attract.
Yes.
And that's who we say, if you do want the best, are you willing to travel to somebody? Not only that, I'd say just as taxing as maybe travel is taking care of the skin. Right? And a lot of people don't understand how important the skin care really is. So we're not just taking the dead layers of skin off with, a simple exfoliation before you come in. I mean, you're giving them like a detailed regimen based on where they live, based on what they do for work, their lifestyle, how old they are. Do they have skin damage? Do they have sunspots? Do they have whatever's going on? You address it, you get their canvas primed and ready. And then not only that, the question after that is, how do I preserve it? And there's a whole regimen to that as well.
And it's simple though. I don't want you guys to think that it's so complicated, but as he said, that's so correct. All we do is we dial that in, I get clear videos, clear pictures, and I make sure that I assess and I give them something that they're gonna be able to use, not just right now, which is even cooler, but long term. Sorry. I get so excited about skincare because I think it's been a topic that a lot of guys have been jumping onto, and they're so excited to see even the changes on their skin, on their scalp. I mean, that's a really big deal when you have like really dry scalp. When your scalp is itchy, when you've got these sunspots. I mean, that makes a world of difference.
That's how we create subtle pigmentation. It looks as real is.
And that's
or as close to as possible. There's nothing as close. Looking natural, looking real in all lighting, in all facets, long term, in every situation.
I just had a video sent last night by a client, right? And this client was so skeptical. He flew into us. He already had an appointment with another provider, and he called us in the midst of it, and he was like, you know what? I really want to come to you guys. I'm really afraid. I just kind of want to back out of SMP completely, right? Ends up coming with us. Sends me a video last night, just like blown away, could not believe his results after 3 sessions. But the craziest part about it is it's not even necessarily the hairline, the flow of it, it's the fact that nobody could tell that he has it done. And he was like, I mean, just blown away. That's what I'm talking about.
Like that.
That's
that was
what
a good
we're
story.
looking for.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got sidetracked, but that was it. A lot of people watch us because we're very honest, and this is our heart and soul. We love what we do. This is not something where we're like, we want guys standing outside waiting to line up to get this done. We want quality. We're very even picky when it comes down to the clients that we decide to work with too, right? It's a mutual decision.
I'm grateful now I got to a point where we take on candidates. I mean, we don't really turn many people down. But if people are, you know, not really getting what we do,
especially if they're not understanding the process, like you said, and they're looking for something very quick, fast, and just kind of mediocre. We don't do mediocre. That's just something we don't do, I would say.
How do you identify it out there? If you're an artist yourself, or if you're a consumer or someone who already had it done, wherever you stand, okay, two things to look for. Number one is the frame to your face, right? The hairline you choose is essentially the frame to your face. There's a reason why a guy has a favorite hat.
Yes.
It's not typically the design of the hat, or the crazy color of the hat, it's the frame that that hat puts on that man's head. Same thing with scalp micropigmentation, same thing with barbering.
Yeah.
I see a lot of barbers doing scalp micropigmentation, maybe good tattoo artists, maybe not, but I'm just sticking on the hairlines for a second, right? Those hairlines would never look natural. They would never look real, those straight hairlines.
They don't. I think it's more of like a fashion statement for the moment, but I don't think it's a long-term play.
Fair. And if you're listening out there, again, we're beating a dead horse. I think a lot of people say this. If people agree with us, they probably see this right away and they say the same thing in their head because it's that apparent. So now let's talk about the ones called scalp micropigmentation. They do these contours.
Yeah.
This is where they mess up. It's always in the temple. I know mine's a little more aggressive. Some people like. It's all about your preference, your style. But again, it's the frame that I wanted to create to my face to accentuate my features. I have a skinnier face. I don't have a fatter face. There's a lot of things to take into account. There's a lot of things. You know, how big of a slope, how big of a, does your bone protrude?
Even wrinkles on your forehead, to be honest.
Wrinkles on your forehead, absolutely. All of these things we address, we take into account. Right? So that frame is so crucial. If you really start to dial in and study the frame, if you find your favorite hairlines that you like, take notice of the frame and how it flows with that gentleman's features. I think you'll start to notice a trend here. And to us, we see it clearly. And a lot of people, I think a lot of people could use a little bit of help on the hairline flow.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's number one. The other way to identify, look up close in the perfect lighting, right? And see healed results, not a couple weeks. I want to see like settled in there.
Agreed.
And look up close, like under a microscope. I want to be able to zoom in and see the skin, see where there's not ink on the skin. I mean, see the detail. There's a big asterisk on that, right? And if you can see blobs of ink or big dots, and this is a big one for us.
Consistent impressions as well.
This is one of the reasons it takes us so long to create subtle pigmentation is the size of the impression.
The size of the impression is going to be everything. It's got to be super like tiny, and I would add on to that really quick. The blending. That is missing so much. That makes it or breaks it a lot of the times. So sometimes I can see really good work and I'm like, oh, that looks amazing. But you almost see like a cutoff line, right? And you're like, wait, what happened there? That doesn't look natural. And not just that, but it's not, the provider's not necessarily thinking of the future. What if that guy, number one, loses more hair? Number two, it just, when he shaves, it's going to look different. You have to blend, absolutely.
It's so crucial. I recently said on one of my videos that 95 or 98% of our industry isn't good, and really what I want to say is I want the standards to increase. Is what I'm trying to say, and I'm calling out everybody, including ourselves, on the blending. Everybody can do a better job blending. One of the downsides to blending, from an artist perspective, it takes a heck of a lot longer.
It really does.
If I want to run a business and we want to take vacations 18 times a year and we want to buy some Bitcoin, I don't want to have to do more. It doesn't make any kind of sense to do more blending. But and Nicole even says this to me all the time, is like, you're killing your body, and I'm just a crazy artist in there. I don't even care about the money. I don't care how long. I mean, we take long sessions sometimes, but really my point is the blending. The blending is very hard to do. The blending takes a lot of time, and to do it properly, when done right, gosh, you can't do it in a couple of sessions. It really does. I could do another hour on almost anybody I've completed, and that I would take that hour in blending and making the SMP wrap in with the hair. Any artist out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is something why I'm 12 years into my craft, and I still, there's nobody amazing at our craft. There's nobody great, because we all have a long way to go, and that's where I really I critique myself on ourselves.
He really does too.
On the blending.
Absolutely. Man, this was such really good information. I'm so glad, you guys. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just got really obsessed with the blending.
Well, thank you guys so much. And comment, what do you guys think when you guys see the results out there? Do you see most results 1, 2, or 3? Number 1, the Lego head. Number 2, the mediocre, the standard. Or number 3, the subtle P? What do you guys see?